Hey guys, in the last 24 hours, Bitcoin has seen quite the rally from that lower to mid $15,000 level. We've bounced off of a lesser known 8-year-long support line on the logarithmic chart that I have not seen any other analyst bring up in the charts aside from one analyst on Twitter. I'm going to be showing you that lesser known chart. I'm going to be showing you the reason why we bounced, which is the inverted head and shoulder in the short term and that 8-year-long support line. And I'm going to be answering the question, is this bounce a fake out or will it lead to a sustained rally? I'm also going to be telling you guys the critical levels we need to watch to the upside of a downside and what they will mean if taken. Let's get into it, guys. This is a very informative video and I highly recommend you watch all the way through. Like always, we have the VIP results in the pinned comment and we also have the free Telegram discussion group link in the pinned comment. You can check out both those things and become a VIP member or just join that free discussion group where we discuss charts on Telegram. Let's get into it. So this is essentially what Bitcoin's done over the last 24 hours. It came down, it had a descending channel formation that I spoke about in yesterday's video. You remember in yesterday's video, I said Bitcoin was very oversold in the short term. I was expecting the rally due to that reason. We had that descending channel formation, we had descending volume in the downwards trend, and even on the RSI, which we had a clear bullish divergence on the RSI and we were undersold in stochastic. I said it's very likely we'll see a short-term bounce off that level, especially considering the fact that it was a very strong support level, right? 15.6k and around that region was mostly held for the most part at least. And that of course was, where we saw the low on November the 10th. So I said, hey guys, pretty likely we'll see a bounce. Guess what? We saw a bounce straight upwards, had a double bottom formation, and it could be seen actually as an inverted head and shoulders formation, in which case we had just broken the neckline recently, and we'll probably go a little bit further up. Now, the nearest resistance, in my opinion, on Bitcoin, we can go ahead and delete this channel now. The nearest resistance, in my opinion, on Bitcoin would be this dashed yellow line. It is actually a subjective resistance at this point because it hasn't seen 3 retests. It's only seen 2, but I would see that. I would say that's going to be the next resistance. Just based on what I generally see with market structures, I can see this being a pretty clear resistance zone that Bitcoin's going to face, especially considering the fact that this move from the inverted head and shoulders pattern is kind of reaching a take profit based on the measured move near that region. So I would expect some vague resistance in that region at around 16,600, 16,700. But ultimately, that's not relevant for the long term. For the longer term, what we need to do really for Bitcoin is break above 17,700. And 17,700, of course, is the previous cyclical low that we formed in June. Once we break back above that level, if we manage to do that, Bitcoin would have flipped this entire region and it would be back in the range, right, between around 24k and 17k. It would be back in that price range. Hence, if it was back in that price range, which would be this range here, this kind of channel-based range here, this move could be labeled as a fake out and we could leave it in the past and potentially head back upwards. So I would say for major progress on Bitcoin to be made, nothing really matters for major progress until we break above 17.7k again, until we break that previous June low. As for the downside, I would say nothing really matters until we break below 15.6k on a 3-day candle close, as we've spoken about many times in the past. Right, 15.6k on a 3-day candle is very important because the 3-day chart has a horizontal RSI support zone. Every time we lose this level onto horizontal RSI, we see a 20% correction at the minimum on 7 occasions and a 60% correction at the maximum. So that's a very important support zone. But as of right now, we would need to get above 17.7k, right, to confirm a bounce on the 3-day RSI chart. And every time we have bounced off of this horizontal support on the 3-day RSI, we have seen a major move to the upside. Generally speaking, it actually reverses trend. So that could be a confirmation at the bottom there, potentially. Now, that's great. That's great to hear because it means that essentially, wherever we go up above 17.7k or down below 15.6k, we'll be able to make a pretty confident prediction as to where Bitcoin will go in the future. For the actual bear market to be considered over, right, and this is very important, for the bear market to be considered done and dusted and completely finished, we would need to be breaking above the bull market support band on Bitcoin, which lines up with a break of this yellow downtrending line that I have here on the Bitcoin chart that is stemming, one second guys, sorry, that is stemming from back here in May 2022, right? So bull market support band and that downtrending line up together. If we break above that in a weekly candle close, that would be confirmation that the bottom is in for the bear market. Absolute confirmation. And the great part about that is this, okay? Here's the great part. Absolute confirmation that the bear market would be over, right? Or most likely confirmation, right? Nothing's really absolute in this market, but it would be a very good indicator. Would be coming at, like, at this point in time, 21K, okay? By the time we get there, it'd be 20K, right? The point is, as of right now, if you've got, you know, dry capital, dry powder ready to go, you know, worst case scenario, you wait for a reversal. Worst case scenario, you're buying in the low 20Ks, high teens, right? Great scenario all around if you haven't bought Bitcoin yet, or if you haven't bought all of your Bitcoin yet, because either we go down further and you buy lower, or we go up and we see a reversal and you buy at a pretty decent price regardless, because the reversal point is so low now on Bitcoin. So everyone who hasn't bought Bitcoin yet, or hasn't bought all of their Bitcoin yet, right, is in a great situation here. I just wanted to say that. But the main part of this video I wanted to look into, because everyone knows everything already, 4-year cycle, Q4 bottom. I think the bottom's going to be in Q4, okay? Give or take a few weeks, maybe cut into January slightly, but mostly I think it's going to be in Q4. And I think we're on path for that. I don't think we've seen anything in this bear market that is particularly abstract at all. I think we've seen a very normal bear market. Some people would counter that and they'd say, oh, well, what about the 200-week SMA? We lost the 200-week SMA. We've never done that before. My response to that is very, very simple, okay? Moving averages will always be lost. Will always be lost eventually, because they are not immune to diminishing returns. Okay, so they will always be lost eventually. So us losing the 200-week SMA in this bear market is not abstract at all. What would be abstract is if we go down more than we did in the previous bear markets, in which case we'd need to go down below 11K, or if we corrected for much longer than we did in the previous bear markets, which we haven't done yet because we're still in Q4. So nothing in this bear market at all has been abnormal. I want people to really understand that. There's a dramatic amount of fear in the market right now. Understand this bear market has been completely and utterly normal. Nothing but normal at this point. Even with the events that have gone on, guess what? There's events every bear market, right? Things happen every bear market. FTX crashed this bear market. Guess what? Mt. Gox was in 2014. All right, there's heaps of things that happen every single bear market. COVID happened in 2020. Okay, there's always going to be black swan events. People need to understand that just because black swan events exist, it doesn't mean that this is somehow dramatically a different situation. You could, again, argue that the macro environment is what makes this bear market different, and you'd be correct. However, we haven't seen any of that materialize in the price action. So far, based on what we've seen on the charts, everything that's happened has been completely normal. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like the trend is your friend until it ends, and it hasn't ended yet, so why would we predict it's going to end? It's blind speculation, in my opinion. But one thing I really wanted to look at, and this is a very important topic in this video, is this 5.5 year long, right, support line on Bitcoin. In fact, even if we extend it all the way back here, we'd probably find it maybe lines up even possibly all the way back here from 2014, if you see that. This support line, okay, just checking to see if it lines up even further, is actually more than 5.5 years in that case, right? Sorry, I was wrong there. It's actually an 8-year long support line on Bitcoin. I want to briefly interrupt this video to talk about the BitGet exchange. Now, the BitGet exchange has 5 times lower fees than Binance, which is commonly referred to as the cheapest exchange in the cryptocurrency market. It's also non-KYC or voluntarily KYC, so you can stay true to the fundamental values of cryptocurrency, one of which being anonymity, of course. It's also got a security fund in there, so if you lose your funds by fault of the exchange or by personal fault, you can make a claim and actually retrieve your funds back. On top of all of this, if you sign up using my referral link, you can get access to exclusive discounts and rewards. This is the best exchange on the cryptocurrency market, and I use it personally, and so should everyone at the Wolves of Crypto YouTube channel. Now, if you're interested in actually learning how to trade for yourself, you can check out the Crypto Academy via the website link in the description below. This is a course developed by myself and Megaworld Crypto, a 10-unit course taking you through every single step from step 1 to step infinite about how to become a trader. Go ahead and check that out and chuck us an email at cryptoacademycourses@gmail.com, and we'll get back to you with the full information and payment information if you're interested. Thanks guys for watching the advertisements. Let's get back into the video. Stemming all the way back here from 2014 through to the wick here before the 2017 bull market, through the lows in 2018, through the lows and the candle closes in the COVID drop, and just been retested for support just about a week ago there on Bitcoin. Now, like all linear lines on the logarithmic chart, this line will be lost eventually. but it could be years down the road. We don't know when it will be, but it will be lost eventually, because obviously if you extend a logarithmic line on the logarithmic chart, eventually you get to very, very soon, you get to a price point of like 5 million, okay? So you can't sustain it forever, but it could be an indicator, right? And this is something I've been considering for a long period of time. Okay, for weeks now I've been saying there is a decent chance that the bottom is actually in this region. Not many people are considering that at the moment. Now, you know, this line could be the evidence for that. Obviously, if we lose this line, okay, and this is a weekly chart line, if we lose this line, we're going straight to 13.8k. If we lose 13.8k, we're going straight to 11.5k, and I don't think there's much chance at all that we go below that. But if we hold this line, guess what? Then we'll see the bottom be in on Bitcoin, and we'll start to break above something like that bull market support band on Bitcoin, right? And then we can go sideways a bit and ultimately head upwards with that line. That's pretty interesting, right? We've just retested that, and it's great because there is quite a bit of support in this region now. Not only do we have that line, we also have weekly candle support, right? Stemming from the weekly candle wick, which comes back from 2017. And if we went to the daily chart, you can see we also had support there as well at around 15.5k, 15.6k, where we did bottom. So quite a bit of support in this region now, and that line adds to it. That's an 8-year long support line. Very important that people watch that. I will be updating you guys on that line as we progress further and further into this bear market. And as we look for that low to finally be placed, I think there is an interesting argument to be made that perhaps the bottom is already in, and that line being tested there was kind of maybe the low. Who knows, guys? You know, it's very hard to say with this kind of thing. I've been very open about the fact that I don't know where the bottom is. I know when the bottom is. The bottom is basically Q4, which is any time now. So as for where it is, very hard to say. What I can say is that line's been tested. And at the same time that line's being tested, we're seeing the FOMC decision coming up in just a few weeks here. And that is going to be a 50 basis point hike instead of a 75 basis point hike at about an 80% probability, which means they're winding down the rate hikes. At the same time, we've seen bond yields start to go up, which is good to see. You know, there's quite a few things in the market right now that are quite interesting. Do I know for a fact that the bottom is in? Not at all, not in the slightest. I do not know. I want to make that very clear. I don't know. I think the bottom could be anywhere between here and 11.5k, but people do need to consider things that might seem unlikely on the surface. I think a lot of people are very bearish right now, right? Rightfully so. We are in a bear market, but I think when people get too bearish, they start to look past fundamental pieces of evidence like this 8-year uptrending line, which is of no doubt at least relative significance. So let's keep an eye on that as well, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.